sustain a career in hip hop.
Yeah.
But at that time, that just was.
It was a dream.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
And maybe fast forward now.
Yeah.
Completely different story.
Completely different story.
What do you think has happened in those intervening sort of decades?
I think UK hip hop found its voice, and it found its voice through grime, and it found its voice through a reclamation, or well, not a reclamation, a claiming of black British culture in a way that previous generations had wrestled with a little bit. Like, we were still trying to work out who we were at that time, and I don't think we'd actually quite got there. There were people like Rodney P, obviously, Demon Boys, obviously, people like that who were really, they were doing that thing, but they were outliers, you know. For the most part, we were still being like, it wasn't as bad as even just like, oh, shall we be American? It's like, shall we be American, or shall we be Jamaican, or shall we be African, or what does it mean to be British? And I think 1988 is key for me, because that was the first year where I feel we got our own, like we got our own slang for the first time.
Yeah.
Like, you get me, and this, that, the other started to come out, and we started like claiming our identity, but it was the first seeds of that. It hadn't yet formulated into generations of people who were doing that, you know? And I think it's not impossible to notice that a couple of years after that we had, like, you know, jungle and stuff like that, and we had the rave scene and stuff. You know, that came not long afterwards, because we finally found something that was kind of ours. But I think that was for me, the biting point of that.
Yeah. And also as well, do you think, you know, what we might call the top boy factor as well, that it's able to sort of disseminate UK street culture
Definitely.
to a wider audience?
I mean, when I first started writing, I always said we never had a marketplace. And what I mean by that is, or should I say a storefront? What I mean by that is like a big film or a big TV show and stuff that could say, this is who we are, that would broadcast visually who we were around the world, you know? So definitely there was that. But I think even so, even before Top Boy happened, the grind scene happened.
Yes, of
and the
course.
grind scene did that. And there was also the democratization of music via the internet. See, if the internet had existed in '88, I think then the world would have been privy to what was going on in England at that time, and they would have been shocked then, and it would have happened earlier. Because the record companies were obviously gatekeeping, and they were stopping certain voices from coming through. So it's not that the voices didn't exist, you know. I hear a lot of the youngers, they're talking about, oh, why was this not about and that wasn't about, but it was. But you just never got to hear it, you know. So on the streets, you could hear people doing those kind of things that are happening now. So hence me wearing the Reese Maneuver t-shirt, because, you know, Reese was rapping at those times, you know, but it was harder to get out, you know.
True. And obviously as well, Pioneers, you know, London Posse as well, because they were like one of the first hip hop groups to not rap in an American accent.
That's right. Yeah. They were the ones who had the most popularity out of that, and that was inspiring for all the MCs that came after that. You know? So yeah, definitely, they were the ones who wholeheartedly said, "This is what we're going to do."
Moving on to your next story, that's obviously got another musical theme as well, Miami Heat. Yeah. Why Miami?
Because I was at a book festival in Miami, and I'd just broken up with someone, and I decided to stay on in Miami because it was Miami. You know, I was like, okay, I'm going to be at this festival, but I'm going to stay on for maybe a week after the festival and just, you know, see what Miami's got to offer, and I might as well. I've just broken up with someone, and it all went wrong. And I remember just feeling really, really lonely and desolate in Miami. And this collection is called The Book of Blues, the one that I was just reading from. And every story is about love in times of trauma. So I was talking to my wife about it years later, and she was saying, you have got to write that story, you've got to do that. And so I did, and I wrote the story about a music journalist who's just had a big breakup with her girlfriend, and she's gone out to Miami to go to the Winter Music Festival, and she's out there, and she decides to stay on and whatever, and she said, I'm just going to bounce back, I'm in Miami, why do I care that I've just broken up with my girlfriend, and then it all goes wrong for her. But basically, a lot of that story is true based on what was happening to me at the time.
And what I absolutely love about it is that you've turned it into this black queer love story. And you do have a very convincing voice.
That's so amazing. Thank you. I really appreciate that. I mean,
what research did you do, or did you just come from?
I had a lot of friends who are, and also just like when I try and write other characters, in that sense that people who are not like me, I always try and think just like, how would I feel? Just basically not say, oh, how would a woman feel, or how would someone who's queer feel, or how would someone in Africa feel? Just like, how would I feel in that situation? And then I just feel like coming from a basic human truth, do that, and then I just do it. Yeah, it's right. If it was me, which it kind of was in a sense, but if it was me with just these kind of I don't know how to say it, these frameworks that exist, you know what I mean? These things, these boxes that we put into it, if I just add those things to it, but keep the core of the humanity of the person, then that's how you write a character who isn't you, basically.
Can we just talk about your creative process?
Yeah.
So how does it work for you? You might get an idea, and from there, how do you, what's the development? How does that work?
Well, it works in different ways.
Is it the dialogue you think of first? Or is it the character? You know?
Generally the character. Generally I have an idea first, like that. I was like, oh, I have to take that story, that thing that happened in my life, and I have to, hey guys, do you want to sit down? You guys in the back there, just standing up? No, you're all right? Okay, so anyway, so I take something that happened to me in my life, or something that I care about deeply, something that I'm passionate about, and then I just try and just think of a character that can inhabit that same space, and then I think about situations that they could be in. I think once I've got the character, then and I know who they are, then the actions are easy to do after that, which is basically the plot. You know what I mean? It's easy when it comes out of character, when I know who they are and I know what they're going to do and I know what basically is going to happen to them. Like for me, say Miami Heat, that premise was, I know that when she goes to Miami, it's all gonna go wrong. Just everything is gonna go wrong. But the minute she gets to Gatwick, even the way the story starts, she's at Gatwick and she trips up on her suitcase on wheels and she lands on that rolling escalator thing and she's going along the escalator. That's the opening scene. So the minute she gets to Gatwick, even before she gets to Gatwick, because the taxi's late and everything, it just goes wrong from the beginning. And as long as I know that, I'm just like, okay, what else can I do? What worse things can I put her into? Until she gets to the end, which is the last scene where she ends up, which actually happened. I'm revealing myself to you guys, sorry. She ends up in a strip club in the day. She's so bored and fed up in this really rundown hotel that she's staying in right on Miami. It's basically a retirement kind of hotel for old Jewish people who are really nice, but she's there I'm a music journalist on the high life, and she's in this hotel, and then she ends up really bored going to the cinema or whatever, and then she ends up in this strip club in the day basically. And it's even the people who are working there and stuff, they're really they're fed up and it's not going well for them, and they just say, please can you give me some money, I'm getting kicked out of my house, please can you just buy me a dance, please take me to the champagne room, please. And that's what she ends up.
And in terms of your writing schedule, are you like a 9 to 5 or early morning, or maybe work through the night, or depends? Or
I'm a early morning, get up, deal with the kids before, until about 9 o'clock, whether that's I do the school run or my wife does the school run, have breakfast, and then I'm at the desk usually between 9 and 10, and I work till about 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock maybe, and then I'll take a lunch break, and then I'll either do more admin or stuff like that, or I'll just stop, and that's me every day. I only do 3 to 4 hours a day, and if I do go back, it's just revision and stuff like that. I feel like, I used to do more. I used to do 5-6 hours a day, but I don't know if you guys can see, I've got that scar on my leg there, where I had keyhole surgery, basically, and that's from writing. Basically, I wrote all day for about 8 hours, and then my phone rang and I jumped up to answer it, and I tore a ligament in my knee, basically. So the osteopath afterwards advised me, don't do that. You're meant to do at least 3 hours and then just stop. So I just stopped.
Move around,
yeah.
Dedication to the art, right?
Yeah, you wouldn't actually think you can injure yourself by sitting there just writing, but you can.
Too much of a good thing.
Too much of a good thing, yeah. But that was with the scholar, and I was just enjoying myself so much while doing it. Yeah.
I mean, I'm just looking at you, and I think you've done so well for yourself. I'm so proud of you. Small acts.
Yes.
I'm not just saying this because you're sat next to me, but Lovers Rock and Red, White and Blue, they were definitely my favourite teleplays, without a doubt. They were all good, but those two. Can we talk about Lovers Rock first?
Yeah.
Well, actually, let's talk about how did you hook up with Steve McQueen?
Long story that I'm going to cut very, very, very short. Small Acts was going for about 3 years in development before I was brought on board, and they were looking for writers, and they knew that I'd worked in West London, which the series was set in West London, and they knew that I was very steeped in the Black British community, so I had an interview, and at that time I'd been writing screenplays for a long time trying to get in, you know, but I couldn't get in, but I had a screenplay ready, so I showed it to them, and they liked the screenplay, and then I met Steve. I thought I had a really bad interview with him, you know, but my daughter had been born 2 days before.
Was it like proper interview with?
Yeah. It's like, well, we went to Soho Hotel, and we were all sat around the table. And he's like, "Tell me about yourself." He said, "What can you bring to the table?" I said, "I'm the only writer you're gonna get that's a black guy from West London who knows all this stuff." He's like, "Oh, so you're from West London, yeah? What bus do you take to get from like White City to Ladbroke Road?" That's what he said to me straight. I was like, "Rah!" I didn't know at the time that he grew up in West. He grew up like our area, but then he went to live in Ealing, so he knew the inside out thing. That's why he said it there. So he asked me that, and I was like, "That's easy, man. It's a 7 or the 70." You know what I mean? And he was like, okay. But no, he still grilled me. You know what I mean? He grilled me really badly, and I came out of that interview thinking that was it. I was done. It was over. I'd lost the job basically, because I think he asked me about storylines and stuff, and I did have an answer, but I was like, I can't really give you an idea on storylines for these things that you present to me because I don't know the characters well enough yet. When I get to know the characters, like I'm saying, then I can do whatever, but I don't know them well enough yet, and that's what I thought had lost me the job. But yeah, I got a call like a month later, and he was like, "Yeah, you got it."
And was this your first TV writing?
Yes. First TV, first film, first anything. Yeah, screen related.
And with that process, were you like in a writer's room?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did a writer's room with.
Could you explain to people what a writer's room is?
So for a writer's room, you have. Well, in America, it can be anything up to like 14 writers, and they're in the room. They just work out all the characters, all the stories. They work out the art for the series, maybe a series after that, and you work together to put this thing together. So it's not like writing a novel where it's just you and you're just writing. You're working with all these other people. And I worked with 6 other writers in that room, and Steve. He was there 95% of the time. He was there. Yeah, he was shooting Widows at the time, so he went off to do a bit of that, and then came back. But yeah, we just we all worked out in the room. We started from scratch. So like with Lovers Rock, we talked about blues dances. You know, Steve wasn't there for that initial talk, and the rest of the writers weren't black. It was only me and the late Alex Wheatle who were there in the room. So we were talking about our experiences and stuff. And actually, I didn't get Lovers Rock actually, because he would go around the room and he'd say, "You're doing this." Like my friend Alistair, he was definitely doing Mangrove. He was so into Mangrove that he was going off and doing the research. He was a documentary filmmaker, so he went to the Black Culture Archives. He went to everywhere, George Padmore, and he was finding all his stuff. Mangrove was his. But I didn't have one for about. It was a 6 weeks writer's room, and I didn't have anything for about at least the first 3 to 4 weeks. So I was thinking, again, I'm sacked. That's it. I'm done. But when one day he came up to me and he was like, "I want you to do what we called Leroy Logan, which was Red, White and Blue, the one with John Boyega." And I was in the room. We were always talking about. Steve would like to talk about our personal lives a lot. He'd say, "Oh, tell me about the first time you fell in love. Tell me about da 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 da." And the other writers hated it because they were just like, "Why can't we just concentrate on getting this thing together? Let's write." But he was trying to find out who we were, and I kind of got that. And so I used to talk about my dad a lot. So when I got Red, White and Blue, I was like, "Oh yeah, it's because of the father-son relationship." Even though I was daunted about writing for a real person for the first time in my life, it's the father-son thing. I knew, I thought, "Oh, I got that. I can do the father-son relationship." And so I concentrated on that when I was doing it. But yeah, Lovers Rock was just us talking about blues parties, and then another writer got that, but eventually I got it in the end.
It was meant to be.
Yeah, I think so.
And in terms of the other one, Red, White and Blue, another powerful piece of writing, absolutely.
Thank you.
You had to, it was based on Leroy Logan.
Based on Leroy Logan's life, yeah.
Yeah. Could you explain to the people who knew?
So yeah, Leroy Logan wasn't like the first black policeman. He was a really early black British policeman in the 1980s, where, I mean, it's still pretty hardcore for black British police men and women now, but like in those days, Leroy Logan, he had a lot of hate from the white officers in the force, from black people on the streets and stuff, and he was in there because his dad had been beaten up by a police officer really, really badly, and like his dad was now then trying to sue the police. So that was the time that Leroy Logan joined the police force. So even his family were like, what the hell are you doing? Why are you joining these people when they just beat up your dad and he's got a case against him? But he was like, I want to try and change it from the inside. And I believe that more people do that, then we'll be able to change it. But obviously he was in an institution and trying to do good, and he had all of this like, you know, conflicting force coming against him, and he found it really difficult. He never gave up, but he found it. I think he felt that he bit off more than he can chew. I think it's fair to say that. So I wanted to document that. I wanted to talk about that, and Steve wanted to talk about that as well. But just what it feels like to be a black person who tries to change things from the inside. Because everyone else in Small Axe, the whole thing was trying to, you know, it was about the community coming together to fight our oppression. You know, all of those different stories were basically about different ways of doing that. But Leroy Logan's story was the first one, or the only one. It was about trying to change things by working within the system. And that was a great theme for me. I got it, and then the theme of family and community and all those things. And yeah, I loved it.
And was he happy with the portrayal?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I spoke to Leroy a couple of weeks ago, and we're talking in a couple of weeks' time. So yeah, I think he's all right about it. And yeah, he seems very proud. And I think he said to me, I think he said this to me, that before people didn't understand, well, I know this for certain, Paul Gilroy, the eminent scholar and academic, he said, he came to talk to us about Leroy, and he was like, I thought he's crazy. He was a crazy man. Like, why would you do something like that? You have to be crazy. And then when he saw Red, White and Blue, he said, I get it now. I understand. And I think it changed in a lot of ways the way people felt about Leroy at that time, who were around in the 80s. And I think he feels that very deeply, that people appreciate his sacrifice now a little bit more. Yeah.
Absolutely. And do you have any exciting TV projects in the pipeline that you can share with us?
I have, but I can't share them. I've got a few things. I mean, yeah, what's your space, definitely. I mean, TV is kind of like it's in a weird space at the minute. So there's nothing that's imminent or if there's something imminent and prominent that I can say, this has been greenlit, that's been greenlit, I would definitely talk about it. But I've got stuff, and I've got some really exciting stuff. I've got lots of stuff to do with music, and I'm just waiting for the climate to change. You know, we had the writer's strike, and then there was the LA fires, and that's caused, that's caused big consequences in terms of like how many things are being picked up and how much money there is in the industry. But hopefully when that changes, I've got a lot of stuff. One thing I will talk about is that I want to do a project on Black British Pirate Radio. Yeah, I want to do a drama just about, and I want to do drama about the beginnings and to where it went to. Precisely that arc we were talking about earlier, you know, like how it started and where it led to.
Oh, that's good. So do you prefer TV to, because TV is more collaborative, whereas when you're a novelist, it's very quite solitary, isn't it?
Yeah, no, I don't prefer any of them. Because I think with TV, I get to work with other writers, I get to work with other filmmakers, it is collaborative, and that's the kind of thing that I really love, because I'm actually quite social, even though I'm a novelist, I'm social, but then also there's that thing of people, you know, you're working with other people, you might not share their ideas, but you have to go with it, you know, you sometimes have better ideas, but sometimes you think, oh, I would have done that differently, and I think for that, being a novelist is great because it's just you know what I mean? No one can tell you what to do. Even your editor will say to you, you know, just like, it's up to you what happens at the end of the day, what the outcome of the book is, you know. So when I want to play God, in a sense, with the characters and stuff like that, I turn to prose writing because I'm in full control of that. Whereas when I want to collaborate and I want to be social and I want to, you know, work with people, then yeah, it's about film writing, TV, and theatre as well. I write plays too.
Oh, really good. Are there anything there happening soon?
Well, I just got shortlisted for the Bruntwood, which was just a month or so ago in Manchester. So I didn't get it. A very amazing playwright won, but